So, the winner takes it all. Dr. Camila Forkush-Levan, practicing psychologist and organizational consultant, is joining us now. Be careful what you wish for. It's not necessarily a cliche, as counterintuitive as it may sound, Dr. Forkush-Levan. It's perhaps the dream of every single one of us, plebeians, but perhaps the first thing he needs to do now, this winner, is go to see a therapist, right?
Yes, for sure, definitely. And I don't know if this person realizes how much, right? A lot of people actually don't. So psychology of money is one of my loved topics, because you think about it, like you finally made it, right? And now, as we know, like regardless if you won a lotto, which we were speaking about, because there are specific things that are going on over there, but also if, let's say, your grandparents made the money, generally by the third generation, very, very luckily, maybe fourth, and the money is gone, right? So like wealth management, how do you actually manage the money once you have it? And there is a whole study behind it, and it's very, very interesting on how it all works. Specifically, to go back to the winning of the lottery, the shock to the system is quite great. In this case, very, very great. Yeah. And how do you manage this? How do you prepare yourself? How do you prepare your family? How do you prepare your children and children's children for generations? How do you guide yourself or have the right guidance where to invest, how to hold it? How do you know the difference between people not wanting to hang out with you because they're actually your friends versus people that are just wanting to hang out with you because you have the money, which is often a difficulty in general for wealthy people. So this is something, but at least they might have some guidance already, because there are some other people around them, right? Here, you're going from not having the money to a lot of money. What do you do?
But isn't it applicable to every life-changing scenario? When I get thin, I'll be happy. When I find a partner, I'll be happy. And then you do, and then you're not happy. So it's more about changing the belief system, not about the, the substance, so to speak. No?
Well, yes and no, because what you're touching on a very important point, which, again, I love working with you all because the topics are so interesting and the questions are as well. And you're touching on something very important of like any change, right? Like you're saying, the next one, I'm going to finally get, like, thin, blonde, green-eyed, whatever, and I'm going to be happy. But with that, and of course, there's a lot of fallacy around it, and maybe yes, maybe no, and sometimes maybe actually yes, depends on what your goal is and how you're reaching it, and if it's in a healthy way, right? This isn't like, okay, don't strive for something, but like be realistic on how to get it and what it actually means and how does it fit into your life, right? That's what you're basically touching on. The added concern or the added parameters that are happening with financials is that there are a lot of people that come out of the woodworks right now that might actually be dangerous. You might be right now a magnet for people that are not good for you, right? But also, in addition, once people get so wealthy so quick, we see that sometimes also with sports, right? That different people coming from different walks of life, very, very incredibly talented, and they will get rich very, very quickly, and usually they need to retire by like 30, right? So they have no way, and often they don't have any of the money left anymore, because it will pull you towards the parties, towards the drugs, towards the who knows what, like the money just disappears. But there's a way to actually keep the money and manage it in the right way. Also, who do you let this money to be managed by? Not everyone is the same, right? So there is a huge psychology in it, and it's more than just being thin, because once you're being thin, people aren't chasing you down the street of like, oh my God, I want to be your friend because you're thin.
Well, so you'll be surprised maybe because of that. But Dr. Forkush-Levan, we don't have much time, and I do want to ask you the following. Positive thinking is risky, so to speak. I'm generalizing here because you're curbing political thinking to an extent. So I would like to pose a political question on this capitalist mechanism. If we know so many are getting addicted to it, and even those who won end up losing to an extent, is lottery merely a whitewashed, dangerous gambling enterprise that should be nixed for the sake of our mental health?
So gambling, to a certain extent, is part of our lives in general, right? And there are certain psychological aspects on how that happens and how we're being hooked. So we see this, for example, in more like old style, or by now it's not, but there, of course, years and years before that as well, that Vegas is built on this whole idea of basically gambling and hooking you in, right? So Lotto is just a more wider version, meaning it's not just that you go to a specific place where you're gambling, but you can gamble anywhere from anywhere you are, wherever it is that you are. It also kind of increases your excitement and adrenaline and stuff like that. So some of it might be exciting and good and healthy for you, but the question is if it hooks you to the point where you cannot control yourself. Sometimes we see it also with computer games, right? There's so much power. It could be for good or for bad. So it really, really, really depends on how it's used and who you are as a person. Going back to the family, going back to the schools, to the kindergartens, to us as a society. Again, as you know, one of my big dreams in the world is like socially available psychology weaved into our lives, because the tools are there where it won't be as much of a problem, where we can play but not fall from it.
So I'm paraphrasing here on it's not guns who kill people, it's people who kill people. Similarly, it's not the substance that is being abused, it's the abuser that abuses any substance in this respect. Dr. Fokush-Levan, before we let you go, if you are so unlucky and you got mega millions, give us your guidelines to curb the enthusiasm, if you will.
For sure. One of the first things, first of all, you are lucky. You just need to know what to do with it. One of the first things is very important not to change your life right away completely in core, like what you're all of a sudden are able to do. Meaning still drive your car, live in the place you're living in, make it as quiet as possible. If possible, just even hide your identity, that you got it, but now we know the identity. But like then change things slowly. Don't touch the money. Go first. Educate yourself. Go to a psychologist. Go to wealth management people. Go to different accountants, lawyers. Spend some money on people educating you, giving you the tools on what to do with this. What are the next steps? And only then start doing something.
Well, and then you perhaps realize that you didn't really need the money to begin with. Just maybe. Dr. Camila Fokush-Levan, practice psychologist and organizational consultant, thank you, as always, for your illuminating insights, and we will make sure to pass on your contacts to this unlucky / lucky winner in Maine. Thank you very much for this.
Thank you so much.